Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are joined by Erin Pryor. Erin, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. You've been obviously very busy the past 2 days.
Very busy.
Congratulations on a beautifully crafted conference. I guess my first question to you is, what prompted you to? You have a background in nutrition.
I do.
And then you joined the NEC Society. I'm just curious as to how this whole
It's
happened.
actually a really cool story. So I'm a NICU parent. I did have a preemie. He was a 31-weeker born almost 20 years ago.
Right.
At the time, I was working as a registered dietitian, but I was doing adult weight management and nutrition research, and knew that dietitians could work in NICUs. So I thought maybe one day I would like to do that, just to kind of give back and help people with the experience that I had being in the NICU. So it was only about 4 or 5 years later I was able to transition into a role as a NICU dietitian.
Right.
And I was at Miami Valley Hospital in Dayton, Ohio for 10 years. Loved my job, really thrived there, personally and professionally rewarding, and I knew I was lucky to have a job that, fulfilled both of those.
It's good to hear that, because I feel like I frustrate the dietitians so much.
We annoy them a little bit.
We annoy them a lot.
Yeah.
Well, we also, our thing is we have so many things. And so when we're passionate about, whether it's feeds or even probiotics now, because that's it's a feed thing, TPNs, we want to do the TPNs. And so we're very passionate, I know, as NICU dietitians as a whole. And there are many that really get involved, more so I would say than even adult dietitians. We're very needed and involved, and know
Very
that
hands-on.
nutrition is so important for the little preemies. So we feel that from you. Like, we want to be part of the team. We work with everybody on a daily basis, and really feel that necessary to get the babies to grow, go home.
I'm always so impressed by former NICU parents who then say, I'm going to work in the NICU, knowing that there's like some processing of your history that you really have to undertake to be able to step back into the NICU, walk with families who maybe had a similar shared experience.
So that was something I was unprepared for. I was really gung-ho about, like I said, giving back and trying to work in some way. And initially, I feel like it was, I can't believe I'm back here and doing this. But it didn't last very long. And everyone, like I said, was so welcoming. And it just really felt like I was important and needed. So that went away really quickly. Like, it became a profession, but it also became like a positive versus like something I was nervous about.
In our unit, we have a few nurses who are former NICU parents, and I can tell when they disclose that, in different ways, that the parents they just latch on to them. They're looking for that.
And I would offer that up too. If I knew something, that the parent needed,
might help.
I would also be able to share that, and I could kind of relate. And if they were struggling or frustrated with feeds, or specifically that, I would share my story, and then I could instantly see like, oh, you get it.
You get it. Yeah.
And how did you then join the NEC Society?
Yeah, so then I worked there for 10 years and ended up leaving the hospital right before the pandemic hit. So it was literally about 3 months I left that role and was home during the pandemic. And I struggled because I really loved the NICU job, but left just for some personal reasons, and didn't know what else I would do. So I looked into maybe some teaching jobs and other things, but never felt confident. I wanted to kind of stay in the NICU world, somehow advocating for preemies in some way. And I was looking for continuing education credits.
I see.
Because I didn't have an avenue to get them, and I just Googled neonatal nutrition or something and found a webinar that the NEC Society had put out.
Right.
And it was the first person that came on the webinar was Lindsay Green, who used to be our outreach coordinator and was an adult survivor of NEC. She blew me away with her story, and I, as a dietitian in the NICU, or you all can relate to this too, when they leave, we don't hear what happens.
That's right.
I don't follow a NEC patient, to their 20s, and so it was really eye-opening and kind of frustrating, honestly, to not, be involved as they go and know what I did in the NICU and how that impacted them later, even into early infancy, 2-3 years old, and all the way, through the life cycle. So. I was on their newsletter after that, so I kind of signed up, put my email in, and then it was almost a year later that they started advertising for a fundraising coordinator.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I'm not a fundraiser. I don't have any experience, but I'm super passionate about this. So
I'll figure it out.
I'm going to throw... Exactly.
Throw my name in the hat.
I'm going to throw my name in there and see what happens. So we had an organization that was like a consulting group for hiring at the time, and she called me, the hiring coordinator called me, and we had a great conversation. So I had over the next couple of interviews, I met with Jen and Erin, and I'll never forget the call in my living room when they called and said, you know, we know you applied for the fundraising position, but you're not our fundraiser. We want you to be our research coordinator. Amazing. So with my background and obviously being a clinician, and I had some research experience also prior to my NICU work, they created a new position and
awesome.
decided to have me join them in that role.
That's awesome.
So it was just like a dream, and now it's been 2 years, and I can't even tell you the feeling of being able to do what I'm able to do without the confines of the hospital. So protocols and policies and procedures, like none of that. Like Jen's like the complete opposite of let's figure that out. Let's just do it. Like, don't be restricted. And that's a huge difference in the feeling that I've loved being in this role, to be able to freely kind of do whatever we want.
Right.
So tell us about some of those, the research arm initiatives, the probiotic toolkit, the research incubator, and the mentorship
So those
program.
are kind of our three big projects that have gone launched, so to speak, in the last couple of years. The probiotics toolkit was a daunting project for sure. We didn't use probiotics in my unit, so I wasn't super familiar with them, which I think was really helpful because I was dedicated to really figuring it out, really looking from an unbiased view. We had no experience with it, so with the help of our Scientific Advisory Council, I was able to kind of just collect the information, do a lot of the review process. We worked on kind of the recommendations, but not being biased with for or against, and it was tough. I will admit it was tough, but we eventually got a really good resource with a lot of great information to really just help the NICUs who aren't sure about starting the process. Right. And if I had this tool when I was a dietitian, I would have loved it. Yeah. And that was always the problem, is that even dietitians, that's our thing, but I didn't have the time.
Right.
Like, nobody had the time to really dig into all of it. So we had 66 beds. I was like, kind of the only dietitian near the end of my career there, and I just didn't have the time. So
if you got around to all your babies already within the day, that was
it.
that's already pretty amazing.
So if I had this toolkit, it would have been a great starting point to take to my unit, take to the team, and we would go through the process. The research incubator is really growing, and I'm really proud of that. We are starting many collaborations already, connecting researchers. It's really just a group of people who want to continue NEC research in all different ways. We have PhD students, we have pediatric surgeons, neonatologists, we have clinical nurse scientists that all just are eager to learn more and connect and collaborate. We've already seen outside collaborations happening. And even just being here at the NEC Symposium with the early investigators, gave me the chills. I was like, this is why we're doing this. And we also do a mentorship matching. So the mentees that are early in their careers can sign up and become a member, and then I'll help match them with a mentor based on their interests. And then we do a facilitation of a year pairing, hoping it continues. So those, I think you had somebody, Daphne, right?
Yeah,
one of our mentors was here talking with you. So she was able to really get that NEC focus, which many don't have. If they don't have a mentor in their facilities that really are NEC focused. So
absolutely. And it's pretty easy for people to get information on the website.
Absolutely. You can just go to our website and search Research Incubator, and then there's a button that you can click to join, and then I'll respond. And if you're interested in being a mentee or even a mentor, you can check a box, and then we'll take it from there.
That's awesome.
Hey, that's great.
Erin, thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you.